Have you ever felt this invisible force just holding you back? Like a shadow whispering that your biggest goals are literally impossible. Well, welcome to this explainer. Today, we are moving way past mystical advice and diving straight into the hard science of positive thinking. We're going to explore exactly how our brains construct fear on a neurological level, and more importantly, how you can actively rewire those neural pathways for real courage and success. So, is the ghost real? I know. It sounds like the opening to some cheesy horror film, but it's actually a pretty profound psychological question. Our source material frames this whole idea through the story of a young guy named Arjun. Growing up in a small village, he was totally conditioned by everyone around him to be absolutely terrified of this abandoned house nearby. Everyone just swore it was haunted. And you know what happens? His developing brain absorbed that collective cultural fear as absolute, undeniable fact. No questions asked. Section 1. The Village Ghost Myth. Okay, let's dive into this. As an adult, Arjun felt completely paralyzed by anxiety. He was just stuck. To break free, he knew he had to finally confront those deep-rooted childhood fears, starting with that house. But before taking a single step, he anchored himself with a really powerful realization. My mind is my greatest strength. My life is shaped by what I believe. Without even knowing it, he intuitively grasped a core principle of neuroscience right there. Our cognitive expectations, what we deeply, truly believe, act as a filter that literally shapes the physical reality and the opportunities we perceive every single day. Section 2. Unmasking the Illusioned. Picture this. Arjun is approaching that dreaded house on a super windy, full moon night. His amygdala is just firing on all cylinders, screaming at him to run away, when he spots this terrifying white figure moving in the dark. But instead of fleeing, he forcefully pushes past the panic and walks right up to it. And when he gets close, the whole illusion just shatters. And this brilliantly illustrates our mind's incredible power. What his hyper-aroused, fear-conditioned brain perceived as a supernatural ghost was in reality just an old piece of white cloth blowing in the wind. Yeah, his mind had literally hallucinated his worst fear just to fill in the visual blanks. Talk about a monumental breakthrough, right? Arjun realized right then and there that human imagination, especially when it's hijacked by fear, holds way more power than any external threat ever could. The monster wasn't living in that abandoned house at all. The monster was a projection of his own mind, manufactured by years of negative conditioning and cognitive bias. Section 3. The Mechanics of Manifestation. Once he realized his mind's immense power to create reality, Arjun completely flipped the script. Every single morning, he started using clear, intentional affirmations. He'd tell himself, I can, I will succeed, I attract opportunities. He physically wrote down his goals and vividly visualized his success. And look, from a neurological standpoint, he was doing some serious heavy lifting. By repeatedly focusing on positive outcomes, he was training his reticular activating system. That's the brain's sensory filtering network to stop scanning for imaginary threats and start recognizing tangible, real-world opportunities that were previously getting filtered out. And, crucially, he paired all this mental training with some serious hard work. Section 4. The Positive Thinking Formula. So over the next few months, Arjun's reality completely transformed. His confidence skyrocketed, which really proves this isn't just mystical wishing, it's actual behavioral science. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that it breaks down a strict 4-step formula. First, it starts with a clear goal to direct the brain's focus. Next up, a positive mindset to overcome the amygdala's natural negativity bias. Third is continuous action, because, neuroplasticity requires real-world physical repetition to forge those new neural pathways. And finally, consistency. Showing up daily is what turns conscious effort into an automatic subconscious habit. Let's contrast the supernatural with the scientific for a second here. There is absolutely no empirical evidence for ghosts, yet people see them all the time. But why? Well, because when faced with ambiguity or darkness, our brains absolutely hate uncertainty. We rely heavily on top-down processing, basically using our pre-existing fears to make sense of unexplained events. We take a simple misunderstanding and just project a monster right onto it, purely because our brain demands a narrative to explain what it doesn't understand. Section 5. Defeating the Real Ghost. While the haunted house was totally an illusion, the real danger is actually scientifically proven. So the crucial point is this: the ultimate ghost, the most terrifying monster you will ever face, is the I can't thought. That self-doubt is a literal neurological barrier that triggers the brain's freeze response, keeping us trapped right in place and practically guaranteeing failure before we even try. To defeat this cognitive monster, you really have to consciously shift your focus. You have to choose to believe in the goal over the fear. But here's the thing. Positive thinking alone, it's incomplete without behavioral activation. You have to be willing to actually walk up to that scary house and touch the cloth. You've got to combine those optimized, confident thoughts with continuous, relentless effort if you want to physically shape your own destiny. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a direct challenge. What ghost are you going to unmask today? What imaginary fear, cognitive bias, or I can't thought is currently paralyzing you? And more importantly, what physical action are you going to take right now to expose it for the illusion that it is? Remember, the power is entirely in your mind. Thanks for joining me. Now go out there and build your reality.